2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, someone's just rang to see what time you're taking it down.
Go on, sorry.
Someone's just rang.
Just outside.
Yeah, just to see what time.
About 1-ish.
Alright, because he can't come till later on.
Oh, that's alright.
He was like, he doesn't have to keep up, he just leave it.
Who was it?
It's got Dave with this.
No, what I'm going to do, do you want to read the section and put that?
No.
Oh no, my God. You know what, that's right. No, this is us now, broadcast at 9, which is about to get the year out.
No, I'll get 2 minutes. I hate cameras.
You don't even know what's
No, I mean on your side of the camera, it's not in front of it.
Most of the people I know are actually down cameras.
Oh yeah, I don't know, it's not very well.
Yeah, but that's a nice sound.
So did you find out all the news about that straight away then?
Yeah.
So like, it's probably okay to do that now.
You know what, it's just, at the end of the day, it's a new story. Barry works the problem is it's right now in Dorset and everyone wants it. If it's any good for the world, anyone else will do it. Shit, can't take up to it.
Yeah, because I've been promised about 6 times, you know, nights out and it's dead cheap to go, isn't it? And you can get the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Let's see it. It's got
Morning everybody, how are you doing? Just setting up 1 or 2 bits and pieces. I'm about to pull my exhibition out at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Big hand on heart, thank you for everyone that's come down, made the effort and watched. And it's been very successful, and a lot of people have had a lot of positive things to say. And you know, we're trying to bring this little bit of Middlesbrough back to life. And hopefully we're doing that. So it's been pretty spectacular. I've loved every second of it. It's one of those things on my bucket list, and I've done it. So no, I have no idea what's next. So anyway, what I'm hoping to do is give you a little look around the room. I'll stand a little bit closer actually, because we've had we're broadcasting from Middlesbrough, God's own country, the centre of the universe, in the old post office in Exchange Square, which is now the House of Blah Blah, which is the greatest gallery in the world, obviously. It's a fantastic old building. It's got lots of character. This is the old sorting office. And in fact, let's have a little look around the old sorting office. The problem with what I'm doing is when I start moving the camera, you'll get the idea. I'll do it slowly, it'll break up. It's all to do with broadband speeds, compression rates, and bit rates, none of which I understand at all. You're lucky to have a live picture, to be perfectly honest. So we'll have a little look around the room, and then I've got to go and sort some lights out and sort one or two bits and pieces out and talk to a potential customer. And yes, and the problem is I can't play any music. As soon as I start playing any music, there's a widget or something in YouTube, it detects it and says you can't do that, it's not your copyright, which is fair enough, even if it's just a little bit in the background. So unfortunately we can't have any music, but we do have lights and we do have pictures and we do have sound, which is the echo of a noisy old mirror ball there, which I'm about to show you. And without further ado, let me give you a tour of the room. I'll do it now and let you have a little look round, and then I'll put it to lights and walk it round. So if you there's nothing on the telly this morning, and Football Focus doesn't start for another hour or so. So there's so that you can just sit there and have another cup of coffee. So right, I'll give you a little look round, and I'll go very slowly so the picture doesn't break up too much, and talk you through one or two bits and pieces. So here we go. So we have all sorts of work inspired. There's a piece up there at the very top in the middle. It's called Scooby-Doo, and it has nothing to do with drugs or anything. It's actually painted from a guy I know that's a mate of mine who I work with, or used to work with, and I shan't say his name, but he's a fantastic lad. He lives in Harrogate, and he looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So one day we'd spent the entire day in a cafe, and I just thought, you are Shaggy. Anyway, love him to bits, and the little fellow, which is my mank chum as well. Then we've got stuff on the walls that represents DNA. The one in the bottom there, where are we? Not that one, the other one. Sorry, third along there. I'm looking at this picture back to front. And that was done with a really interesting story. In fact, let me go and point it out to you. We were working in a lab in Newcastle and doing a story about illegal peregrine falcons that were being taken from the Scottish Highlands and sold to the Middle East market, where there's a massive market for free, not bred peregrines. And we went to do a court case on a guy that had bought an illegal peregrine, and the reason that they found out that it wasn't stolen or whatever was they took its DNA, which was the first time that they'd used DNA evidence from a bird in court, I believe. And so on the back of that one, was inspired by that. Party time was pretty much just another crazy night in another hotel. Stick with me, Clive, as Floyd would say. So I'm hoping you can hear me all right, because I'm drifting in and out. turn up the volume. So this one was Party Time was inspired by was actually inspired by a court case that I did in Newcastle many years ago at the Moot Hall, and we had to live in Newcastle for 6 weeks, which was terrible. And all the media, ITN, the BBC, we were all staying in the hotel opposite the Moat House. It'll come to me in a second. Anyway, we put everything on ITN's room. So every night everyone used to do their own thing and be up back at the bar till at midnight, 1 o'clock, and then we'd start talking until we had to go to work again. And so that's inspired by a bit of a media sort of drinking session. This one over here is actually one of my favourites, and it's also one of my most painful. Root canal work. It was just one of those things we've all got to do, all got to go to the dentist, and I came back and it hurts. It hurts when that cocaine starts wearing off. This one, bit of a political piece. Being an artist, never really pushed the boundaries. I started shouting about my political side of my work. That's called gagging order, and it refers to many court cases and press conferences, and even the government during the Northern Ireland crisis, people being gagged and being unable to speak and hear. And looking back, thinking about it over the years, the media have been gagged more than they should have. This one down here is called B52. I won't dwell too much on that one right now. This is called Sunrise. A friend of mine came in yesterday and said it was one of the most deeply moving paintings. Well, actually, he didn't say deeply moving. He just thought there was something very, very raw about it, and looked at it completely differently, as with all abstract art. In fact, let's go a little closer and have a look. As with all abstract art, put the thing on. You can look at things and till the cows come home. So I'll tell you what, we'll have a little look around the room. This shouldn't be breaking up too much on your feed. So we've got stuff over here, and then we're back to the big wall just there. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you for 30 seconds looking at that mirror ball, and because there's one or two things I want to do here, and I should be back with you very shortly. Sorry, just getting it right. It's a one-man uplink here, so with cameras, lights, sound, I'm trying to do the exhibition and talk to people. This exhibition was inspired by my work as a news cameraman, and I've been very lucky. And I worked for Sky for 23 years, and the Beeb before that, and now I'm freelancing and loving it, doing jobs for the local Beeb network, and out and about, and it's sort of in my blood. And I wrote a book about my life as a news cameraman. It's not the greatest book you'll ever read. It's called A Cameraman's Tale, and it was written by a cameraman who isn't an author. However, I'm very proud of it, and it's a little look behind the scenes at life on the road, what it's like, where I've been, the stories I've covered, and trying to get a bit of an insight into life and show people the other side of the news. You know, you sat there watching your telly with your feet up and your cup of tea, there's actually someone stood up there in that blizzard or covering that atrocity there or whatever. So someone's taking you those pictures, and it was written for all the boys and girls that are out on the road. And I know lots of them, they're all chums of mine, and we're all roughly the same mentality, and we all do a great job, and whatever organisation that we work for. But anyway, so they're great people, and we're all only human as well, and we do feel pain and suffering, and we do get affected by jobs and things. Anyway, so I wrote a book called A Cameraman's Tale. You just Google it, and obviously buy it because it's coming up to Christmas. And it just is a little, like I say, a look behind and a little shout out for some of the people that I've worked with and have got stories. Everybody you speak to or know in the news industry has a story. Everybody does, and most of them are completely unbelievable. But believe you me, there's some truth in them all. So there's plenty of reporters and people that stand in front of the camera that write books, but not actually very many people from behind the lens. So I thought it was a triumph in itself to get one out published. Forget what's in it, but it's worth a read, and it's because of my life is why I'm doing this exhibition now, because without being a cameraman, none of this would have happened. So the two go side by side, to be perfectly honest. And I'm not really plugged either yet. And I'm not. The book was written a couple of years ago, and about a year and a half ago. And my book signing, the world and his dog were coming, and the books weren't ready, and I looked a complete idiot at Waterstones. So my apologies to them. So I've been offered a book signing in WH Smith's on the retail park, but it's all going to be too much. I'm getting bored of my own publicity on social media, so I'll be going very quiet for a while and living back below the radar. But anyway, I was going to read out a few chapters of it, but like Jack and Ori style. But I thought that was a little bit too corny. And secondly, I just thought that I probably can't even read my own writing. But there's a few finalies that I'm going to do a little shout out for, if I can find them. So just bear with me, talk amongst yourselves for a while. And it's coming, so I'm nearly there. Oh, now for some big hugs and thank yous. Am I right in the big picture? This is free advertising. Folks, if you're watching and you run a business and you want to do advertising that's completely free, all you need is one Mac and a little, even one Mac, just use the camera from in there. Find someone you like, start doing advertising on Facebook, start streaming on Facebook. It's the way forward. Everyone's going to be doing this in probably next week. Anyway, so a few big hugs and thank yous. I shall read a little bit. There are a lot of people who I'd like to give a mention to in writing this epic for their ideas, memories, or their support and wisdom, especially the lads that gave me the photos for this book, North News and Pictures. Sorry, just have to wait now. The lads from North News and Pictures, I'd like to give a big shout out to Richard, Raoul, Mr. Kingston, Ted, Jane, Kev, and some other ones that will come to me in a minute. Will, oh God, if I forgot to shout him out, he'd kill me. And is that pretty much with the North News? Also a big shout out to everyone at Time Tees. Eric, anyone that knows Middlesbrough or Teesside will know a little cameraman called Eric Flair. He's a fantastic lad, big Borough supporter, and Eric came in, he's just retired, and he's a wonderful lad, and I've spent 30 odd years working with him, and he's great to see. Also, big thank yous and shout out to everyone at the BBC Tees, all my chums from there, Reevy, Wickup, Johnny, Baz, everyone. Big thank out to, who else media-wise? The Heppel brothers, my two best customers. Of the few paintings that I've actually sold, which is about 6, 3 I've got rid of. 3 I've got rid of. Have you heard that? How technical is that? I've got rid of. I've got 3 were given to charities. One for breast cancer. My sister-in-law had it and got over it, thank God. And another 2, so 3 were auctioned off for charities, and 6 I've sold. One's going to Owen Humphreys. God, if I forgot to mention Owen, he'd kill me. Who did the cover for the book. It was taken in a riot in Leeds, I seem to remember. It was something to do with, I remember Malik was there and he was wearing a stab vest, so it was quite a serious incident. It was either some riot, or I don't think it was the Bradford riot. It was something to do with Leeds, maybe a football match. Anyway, we were all, that's not actually my trendy cap, that's a hard hat, because we thought the bricks were coming. So Owen Humphreys, one of the world's greatest cameramen, took that picture. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm going a little hoarse. Also, I'd like to thank my. It's like one of those awards at Hollywood. I've just got this list. I could actually stand here and broadcast for 8 whole hours before they turn me off, as long as I don't play any background music. I'd like to thank my family for supporting me, my boys, Jew, Mum, Dad, Simpsley, Johnny, Karen, everybody, Lily Beth, said Mum again, and don't move. I've just blown a bulb over here. I'll be right back. I'll tell you what, we'll have a little look at my art. I'm just going to go and switch the electrics off for 1 second. In fact, so the electricity is off. One, two. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. How many sound recordings does it take to change a light bulb? 1, 2, 1, 2. They are some other 1, 2 jokes, but I won't go through them. Right, let's go walkabout. Let's go walkabout and so. Right, so I'll tell you what, let's go walkabout. So what happens is that you walk in here and the music's playing. It's the music of Ennio Morricone, El Estacio del Oro. So the music's playing, and in your left hand you've got a piece of felt, and in your right hand you've got a sequence. So you're listening to the music, and the lights come on, and this is the first thing that you see. You're also chewing a wine gum, so that's your taste. And the smell was supposed to be a bread maker, but the bread maker didn't smell enough, so we had to use incense. So you've got your taste, your smell, your hearing, your sight. So all your senses are being tested, and all the time you're looking at the artwork. So those lights would dim, and then we go over onto this work here, and you'd stand there for about 20 seconds, chewing, thinking, and listening, and then from there we'll go onto this wall here. Those lights will drop. And then you get to look, I'm just guessing, you get to look at all these pieces here. And then those lights will drop by now, which time all your senses will be fully alive and well and kicking. So your touch sense and your smell and your sight and your hearing. And obviously your taste. The Jelly Babies only last for 20 seconds. The wine gums last for 3 minutes. Actually, the whole exhibition was set to lights and music, and it only lasts for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. But because I can't shovel people in and out and won't have them hanging around, it couldn't actually be done like I wanted it to be. But we got there. You're back. Excellent. One. Sorry about that, technical problems. Of all the things that could possibly have gone, of all the things that could possibly have gone wrong, I stood on the USB cable and pulled it out the Mac. Unbelievable. How unprofessional. Right, so then we've got that wall, and now we've got this wall. Where was I? Sorry, folks, I'm deeply interrupted now. Sorry. There you go.
Good morning, sports fans.
La 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 la. Right, 2 minutes, I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'm back. I'm in a warehouse in Middlesbrough and it's cold. It was 2 degrees coming here and snowing. The sky is blue and it's now gone dark and it's snowing again. That is your weather update from the centre of Middlesbrough. I'm going to start pulling this exhibition to pieces in about an hour. And I thought, if anybody's watching on Facebook from this area that can walk in here and tell me they've seen the live broadcast on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I'll let them pick a painting. Actually, I won't let them pick a painting, I shall give them a painting. Something hanging on the walls. So there you go, there's an incentive. The first person down here that says they've seen me live on my Facebook page will get a painting. And who knows, one day, they may be very, very, very valuable. We've all got our dreams and aspirations, and you'll be getting a little piece of me. So if you come down here to the House of Blah Blah, Exchange Square, Middlesbrough, down the road from the centre, from the train station in the centre of Middlesbrough, right in the corner behind Tees Archives. I mean, we're talking downtown. If you walk in here and say, I've seen you live on Facebook, I shall give you a painting. You have about 1 hour. It is 11:19 now. So, I reckon within 1 hour, by the time you've got out of the house, right now, jumped in the car, there's about 500,000 people in an hour's radius of Middlesbrough, something like that. Probably more in a half an hour's radius. So 500, there's a chance 1 in 500,000 people could walk in here. So it's a case of who's watching on my Facebook page, who's watching on YouTube, and who's watching on Google Hangout. If you're from Middlesbrough, in the Middlesbrough area, even from Darlington, I reckon you could get here in well easily an hour, and you could walk in here and be given a painting. And we'll do it live. You'll be able to tell your chums, watch it live, which is the idea about live broadcasting. So yeah, that should be interesting. If no one turns up, I'm going to look like Johnny No-Mates and Mr. Sadpants. But to be honest, I wasn't sure whether to pull it out first thing this morning or give it a couple of hours, but I had a very interesting couple in. Who obviously didn't offer me 150,000 for my entire collection, and I just think he wanted to have a look in the building, to be honest. But we've had lots of people in. Ishi came in yesterday, my good mate, one of Teesside's top playwrights, and the best playwright in Teesside, probably in the north of England, maybe in the UK. He came in and was very complimentary about my work. And a couple of guys came in who I weren't really sure who they were. They could have been businessy type, but arty type people, wondering whether it's worth Mr. Abramovich spending that £1.2 million on the entire life's work of cameraman artist cuts. But they never actually made a firm offer. Right, you've had enough of that shot for a while. And now this shot. I have just had a text from my mate, I won't say his name, who's asked me to read out, I'll sound a little bit closer, I'm a little bit hoarse today, who's asked me to read out a chapter of my book, Jackanory style. But I don't have an armchair, I don't have a Cocker Spaniel, and I don't have a smoking jacket, and in fact I don't even have any slippers. So anyway, I'm going to hopefully not embarrass myself and give you a little taster of what's in my book and read a chapter out. And if I don't stumble over it and get my words wrong and it comes out all right, I might even read 2 chapters. So you've got a choice of Sorry Mrs. President, The Ark, The Marines Strike, Gemma, Raquel Welch, Dirty Harry, Colonel Spooner's Tie, Fish, Mary's Dog, The Weatherman, The Baron, Hot Date, The Big Swim, Banged Up Abroad, My Gap Year, The Industry, The Monkey Mare, Gaza, Canoe Man, The Actor, Dive, 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 Lady Di, Golf, The War, The Borough, The Black Hole, The Blair Years, Crashes, Floods, UFOs, and finally. So I don't know which one to go for. Let's go for let's go for Gaza. Here we go. This is an extract from a book by Carl Coates, which is me. It's called Cameraman's Tale, and it's available in all good bookstores, but better online, just Google it. Gaza. He was the most famous Hellraiser footballer ever seen, both on and off the pitch. The stories are legendary, the man immortal, but the real Paul Gascoigne has never really been understood. He made headlines both on the front pages and back pages. Even now, years after his playing days are over, he still makes the front covers, making the papers in the media millions and bewildering his supporters. He's a writer's dream, helping England to victory one day, then overshadowing it with his off-field antics the next. He will go down in history for lots of reasons. The ball skidded along the wet, soggy ground towards me at some pace. Not sure if it was meant for me or the cameraman, or more likely his camera. But fortunately, I had the skill of Maradona and the feet of Ronaldo to pluck it out of the air, control it, and pass it back. Or did I just dream that last bit? It was Gaza. We were at the training ground, and Gaza had just tried to take my head off with a football. He was 17 or 18, slim in the face, buoyant, energetic, and one of the most talented and gifted footballers I'd ever seen. It was obvious from that first morning training session that he was breaking through and was going to be a big star. He was a young wannabe, and like I say, he was just breaking into the Newcastle team, and tongues were wagging. That was one of the reasons why we were there to interview him. In fact, he wasn't much younger than me. He's about, I'm not 6 months or a year younger than me. And from that day on, I took an interest, and like the rest of us, followed his life both on and off the field. The first time Gazza punched me was at his sister's wedding. I'm sure a lot of snappers will remember that at Dunstan. It was in his native Gateshead, and the media were there in force. Limo after limo arrived, and then Gazza got out of one of them. There was what we call in the trade a bun fight. There is another word for it, but I won't say in case there are any children listening. Anyway, it was all kicking off around us. There was bouncers, medias, punters, the lot. Then Gazza went past me. I pride myself at getting the pop shot and was at the centre of the bun fight. He swung a punch at me, hitting the viewfinder and clipping my cheek. The punch was badly placed, but my first reaction was, what a silly thing to do, or words to that effect. It was all over in seconds, from him getting out the car, through the scrum to the church. I knew the pictures would be unusable, but it just knocked the camera off my shoulder. There was the usual commotion when the snappers and crew found out who got what, and who got the pictures and who didn't, and which news editor would be sat there saying, hey, you didn't get those pictures, why not? Which happens pretty much on a daily basis. Then I noticed two girls about 18 laughing and giggling, and one of them said to the other, why man, I grabbed his horse as he went past. That was a Geordie accent. This girl had grabbed hold of Gazza's ass. He thought it was me trying to provoke a reaction, turned around, took a swipe, hit me, and these two girls were stood there laughing. And anyway, I forgive you for it. Anyway, there was another time with Gazza, but I'm actually not going to go into that because just in case it was I can't go into that. Anyway, it's all in the book. There's another story I did, and I'm very fortunate, and I have got to travel to places and meet some incredible people and do some incredible stories, one of which was in Panama, and I went on to shoot a documentary and that got nominated for, it was nominated for BAFTA, and I shot the bits in Panama, and I was, well, doesn't get any better than that. We'd actually was picked to the post by ITN, I believe. It stolen the film footage of somebody in China during an earthquake. They looked pretty spectacular, but you know, no ITN cameraman actually took the film footage that year. It was a punter. So I was a bit badly done. Anyway, my career's always gone downhill from there anyway. Canoe Man. So this is about me in Panama. We got a call one bright sunny morning to go to Seaton Carew. Apparently some guy had walked into a police station in London complaining of amnesia. He thought he was a missing man from the northeast, so we were asked to go and check him out. The man turned out to be John Canoeman Darwin, and little did we know it at the time, but this story was to take us halfway around the world. John Darwin was financially up shit creek. He faked his own death to collect the insurance money helped by his lovely wife Anne. This involved paddling out to sea in his red canoe, coming ashore and putting the said canoe back out into the drink and making it look like he'd fallen out and drowned to claim on the insurance. Actually, I picked him up several miles further along from the beach. The scam worked, the insurance paid up, and even the coroner agreed that John Darwin was dead. Meanwhile, John and Anne were to live happily ever after in the American country of Panama, the Central American country of Panama, my apologies, under assumed names. There was, in fact, a lot more to the story than that. It only broke big time when one of the papers got a photo of John in one of the property dealers' offices in Panama City after they had just bought some land. Someone recognised them, and then slowly but surely their lives were woven by the media, especially Sky News, who led with the story from the beginning right to the very end. So I'm going to have to get another drink of water in a minute. Cleveland police were their normal dynamic selves at looking into this crime by just sitting back and let the media boys crack it for them. Nothing's really changed, and we could all say one or two things about that subject, but we won't. It was truly fascinating. It was the lead story for some 7 or 8 days before being kicked off by Top Spot. The coverage was absolutely unbelievable. TV crews, documentary crews, movie teams all piled into Seaton Carew for a sniff around, which by now had been renamed Seaton Canoe. The locals still call it that today. The events that did unfold were amazing. Even more amazing was that this story, oh God, I can't even talk. This story was right on my doorstep, and I was enjoying every minute of it. I'm going to have to get another drink, don't go away. Unfortunately, this is live. If it had been pre-recorded, we could have edited it. Anyway, it's almost turned to ice that it's so cold. You won't believe the layers I've got on. I'll be down to my t-shirt in an hour's time when I start stripping this down. Anyway, here we go. The events were remarkable. Firstly, we acquired pictures of the Darwins at a wedding reception. Then we tracked down his Range Rover, John's pride and joy, complete with personalised number plates. And we bought that. We were doing such a good job on this story that the boss sent us out to Panama to cover the angle of that story as well. And I do remember when we actually bought John Darwin's Range Rover, we used it for work, and we were driving around with his number plate on it, and it was just one of those things. So another thing put down that was crazy on expenses, one Range Rover, and I once remember putting a Lada car down and not even getting it questioned. Those were the days. Panama was pretty much as I expected it to be, though I hadn't quite anticipated the heat and 100% humidity. Darwin had bought some land on the route of the Panama Canal and was trying to set up, believe it or not, a canoe school. The jungle along the route was pretty dense, and I'm sure the silly sort, I didn't actually use that word, had no idea that there were some pretty big crocodiles in there as well. The people in the surrounding villages were very friendly, and the story of Darwin interested them as much as it did us back home. And the history of the Panama Canal was truly riveting. We got some great material which went on to be used in our news reports, and like I say, it was part of a documentary that was nominated for a BAFTA. Our guide was some bloke called Tom, who was, when you go to a country, you normally got fixers there, and we hired people with local knowledge. We hired a guy in, a local fixer helper. I'm just reading this and realise if I read any of this out, it starts off, we believe he was ex-CIA and had access to, I'm not going to go into any more because this could be very, this could end up in court. So I won't say anything more about John Darwin, except to say it was a fantastic story to work on, and a big shout out to Gerard Tubb, who was the reporter, who did an amazing job with it. Because I got off of the photographs initially, we led from the start to the beginning, and it was Tubbs' story. Hats off to you, Sunshine. Anyway, so he even went down to sit there. I even saw him sat there
in the auditorium waiting for his little BAFTA that we didn't know if we were going to win or not. Anyway, we never got it. So that's the story of John Darwin, and then there's stories of the Monkey Mare. You all remember the story of Stuart Drummond, which was just, you couldn't make it up, you seriously couldn't. Friday, he's living at home with his mum and dad in a little place in Hartlepool. Monday morning, he's unemployed and getting 80 quid a week as the mascot for Hartlepool United. That's on the Friday. On the Monday, he walks into the Civic Centre to his own office, and he's been greeted, because he's now the mayor of Hartlepool, and he's greeted as "Morning, Mr. Mayor." This guy dresses up in a monkey suit and tells everyone he's running for mayor, and the good people of Hartlepool duly elect him. And it's quite an amazing story. Stuart went on to spend, I believe, 3 terms in office. We all watched his progress very closely, and apart from a little lap dancing incident, he actually did a very good job. And you know, so sometimes it's worth giving people an opportunity. That's the bottom line, you know. If the monkey mascot can become mayor of Hartlepool and do a good job, then hey, who knows? But the whole story of the people being so disfranchised and disillusioned with politics that they actually decide to vote a mascot in as a monkey, whose only pledge was to give every child in the borough of Hartlepool a free banana, but he still didn't come up trumps on that. So that was just an unbelievable press conference when he actually got in. He'd been nobbled by Mandelson and the Labour Party, and it all got very political. But anyway, he walked out of his press conference, followed, hotly pursued by the rest of the media, which was a great story. I remember Sun reporter, what's his surname, Rob. He dressed up as a monkey and gave him some bananas, and that picture is actually in the book. And I'll try and show it to you. I can't really see. I've just lost my. It's at the top left, and that's Stuart Drummond. That's me, and that's a reporter dressed up as a monkey mare. Also, we've got stories. I'm hoping. I've just actually lost my screen for a second. I hope the broadband hasn't dropped out. We've got the floods in Cockermouth, which was another story that was I wrote about in some detail, which was tragic, and there was a constable, an officer lost his life, and it could have been a lot worse. It really was just devastating floods for the people and towns of Cumbria. Well, Cockermouth. I remember it took me 8 hours to get in there, and Mark, we already had a live team in there, but to literally walk in, and it was like a film set from something out of Spielberg. There was helicopters, people being winched from houses. The high street there was a speedboat going up and down the high street. It was amazing. I did a play. It's a long story. I ended up playing Bill Sykes for the local Amdram group. There's a video. It's brilliant. Got on stage with a group in Spain. And this bottom story takes me back to the BBC days. I started out for BBC Look North as a 17-year-old sound recordist covering the miners' strike. I was quickly promoted to, it wasn't even a sound recordist. I was carrying the tripod for my father, Les, who's a cameraman, and carried his tripod, and then progressed to a sound recordist, and then to a cameraman. And during the miners' strike, he lost his sound recordist. A guy called Steve had a lump of concrete thrown at him, and it broke his back. And that was it. At those days, we were working on a format called U-Matic, and the camera was attached to an umbilical to the recorder, and we had to run. I was a 17-year-old lad, and every day I went to work thinking I was going to get my head beaten in. And I remember one time watching when the miners broke in through the pit deputy cars through the windows at Easington Colliery. There was guys picking up cars and throwing them through windows, and it was just horrendous to be there, horrendous to watch, horrendous to cover. And used to go there as a young kid, shaking every night, thinking, you know, I've got to be up at 4 o'clock to get my head beaten in. So that only went on. That only went on for a year. Although there was one funny episode where the boss at the Beeb at the time told us to get on the bus with the scabs and then go down the mine with him. And so we had to get on the battle buses, hide ourselves, go down the mine with the scab for the day, and then come back and go through it all from on the battle bus. And it was interesting. I don't think I've ever been on a bus that's been bricked so much since. And so that was the miners' strike. Then I talk about a trip years ago we made, the first record from Newcastle to King's Cross. It was done in 2 hours and 19 minutes. Can you imagine in this day and age getting on public transport, i.e. a train in Newcastle, and getting to King's Cross in 2 hours and 19 minutes? Well, it's been done. I don't think it'll happen again. And that was done 20-something years ago, 25 years ago, at an average speed of 100-something miles an hour. So you think about that. King's Cross, 25 years ago, 2 hours and 19 minutes on a record-breaking train. And that was with a lot of the BBC lads, Jeff, Tony, Arthur, Nick, Sean Johnson, Jeff Milburn, Tony Baker, Les Coates, Arthur, Nick, and myself. We went to cover the war down in Bosnia from the safety of an airbase in Italy. Although flying around the Med, we had to spend a few days on HMS Invincible. And then we went out with the Armed Forces Minister and some of the top brass. And then we flew on to Coventry and then flew out to HMS Sheffield, I believe it was. And we nearly ran out of fuel in the helicopter. And we got locked onto Bybisat, and it was 1 hour road. And that's a true story, and that's all in the book. There's a picture of the airbase in a place called Joye de Collier, where we used to watch the tornadoes flying out, basically counting them out and counting them back. And also the Americans were based there with their A-10 tank busters. And we used to go on the lash with 1 or 2 of the pilots now and again. But the war in Bosnia was actually brought to a bit of a standstill because the pilots that were over there kept spraining ankles playing football in five-a-side with me on an evening, and the doctor said no more. So there's a fact, allegedly. So I heard, perhaps. Some more pictures in Panama. Another story we did about a lad crossing doing the Channel swim. He was doing it 2 ways, going from Dover to Calais, and the conditions have to be right for a Channel swim. You can't just start swimming it. You've got to register it, and you're obviously swimming it very slow, like that. And it was going to take him 9 hours to go one way, and it was going to take him another 9. It was going to take him 18 hours to do the double crossing. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it'd been put off for 3 or 4 days, so we had to leave at about 4 in the morning, get the tide right. Halfway through across the channel, he pulled both his groins and was unable to use his legs. So he carried on swimming, and it took us 17 hours to get to do the one way from Dover to Calais, and he got onto the beach there, and hats off to him. Remarkable guy, and we've been out of contact at sea for literally 24 hours plus. And when we got back, we got a call from the news desk. Of course, there was no phones or pages or anything there. I can't even remember how we got contacted by the news desk in Newcastle, saying that a bomb had gone off in Dale. So we all thought it was a wind-up, and having spent 2 days in the Channel, and then coming back and being told to go to Dale because there'd been an IRA bombing there. But that's what we did. As another story, Middlesbrough Football Club, who are very dear to my heart, Borough season ticket holder, been there, cried with them, watched them, follow them, etc., film them. Press conference story, Keith Lamb about Gaza. Story went round. Apparently Gaza used to put cans of Kestrel Super Strength and fags and betting slips into Paul Merson's kit bag. That's one of the reasons, allegedly, why Merce left the borough. We didn't believe a word of it. And so at the press conference, a Sky reporter, who I shan't name, who came up, and he's left now, so maybe I can name him. He's called Jake. And decided right at the end of the press conference to ask the question to Robson and Lamb, was there any truth that Merce had left the borough because Gaza was putting cans of Kestrel Super Strength and betting slips in Merce's change bag? And Robson went absolutely ballistic. And anyway, so the story goes around, and I won't say who sourced the story or where the story came from, but needless to say, a friend of ours in Brighton ended up telling me about it. It had done the entire length of the country. And anyway, you got to be very careful what you say on social media and stuff, because people look at this back in years and years and years to come. Hopefully when I'm dead, thinking, hey, he wasn't such a bad artist and he did write a book. And so there's other stories about the Somme. We went down there to do the first professional footballer that won VC, Bell. Bizarrely, I went to school with one of his nephews who was down there. So that's a picture of the Somme, which was one of the most moving places I've ever been to. Inside Farlingdale's golf balls. They've been knocked down and turned into a pyramid. Lady Di, who we exchanged words on one or two occasions, and twice she put her tongue out at me. But an amazing person, and every time I filmed her, there was an aura about her. She was just she was touched and gifted, and everywhere she went, she was just held in complete awe. It was the only real royal that I've ever experienced that with, having filmed most of them, except for the boys, actually. But I remember the Queen Mother being at Bowes Museum, and one of her favourite things was they've got a working silver swan there that she loved to look at. Anyway, so I'm nearly finished because I'm boring myself now. Basically, I'm just doing this just to record my book, my history, and my life, so I can show it to my great-great-grandchildren, as long as YouTube's about. There's snow pictures, there's obviously talk about my art in here, there's pictures of all sorts. There's something really funny here. I'm not even sure if you can see it. When we were out covering the war in Bosnia from the safety of an airbase in Gioia del Colle in Italy, we stayed in this hotel called the VD, which is the Villa Duce. And I just got, Kate Adie had moved out, and I just got her bedroom. And let's just see who this is. Hello. Good, how are you? Yeah, I'll give you a buzz back in 5 minutes. You've gone. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, something about a hotel in Italy. Anyway, Kate Adie had just moved out, and I got her bedroom. Allegedly, which I'm not sure is a good or a bad thing. So there's we were on the barracks and we used to knock around this airbase every day and fly about a bit and take pictures here and there. And on one of the walls, K-80 had obviously flown out of this airbase. It has here, it's got, let me see if I can bring it to you here. I can't even read it very properly. It's got K-80, these are the states of alertness, which obviously is what happens in wars and stuff. It's got K-80 this alert status. K-80 alert status black. At black, there is a possibility that K-80 may come into theatre. K-80 state black alpha. At black alpha, information has been received that there is an increased likelihood that K-80 will come to theatre. Obviously, come to theatre means join the party. K-80 alert status amber. At amber, specific evaluated information has been received that there is a substantial threat of K-80 arriving in theatre. And then it goes on. K-80 alert state red. State red is an issue warning of immediate arrival of K-80 in theatre. State red will remain in force until K-80 has left theatre. Current state red. So yeah, so you get to see the other side of life. Even during conflict, there's little times of humour with the lads. So anyway, so that's my book, that's my life. There is another story about Colonel Spooner's tie, where I actually got mugged by a Hell's Angel at knife point in Berlin. I don't believe it. Jimmy Carter, wonderful man. We spent some time with him, his wife Rosalind, or is it Amy? Rosalind and Amy. Anyway, we spent some time with President Carter on his ranch down in Atlanta with Mike Neville for a documentary called All the President's Friends. That was an amazing experience, and I actually told the First Lady I actually told her to fuck off. It was a mistake. I didn't do it. I thought she was a PA. She was opening the door. She was spoiling the interview. I was a sound recordist. It was my biggest interview I'd ever done. And I sat there, and this door kept creaking because the Oval Office has several doors into it. It was a mock-up in Atlanta. The door opened, the head came in, and I just went. And then the head came in another one, and the head came in another one, by which time I was completely losing it with this girl. She was ruining the entire interview with the President of the United States of America. And then Jimmy Carter got up and said, this woman walked in and was about to give her an earful, and he said, "Meet my lovely wife, Rosalind." And I went, "Oh, geez, what have I just done?" And she looked at me and she said, "Sorry, young man, was I disturbing your interview?" And I just wanted people to the Secret Service guys all around, they didn't know what to do, whether to kick or beat me to, anyway. Sea trials, HMS Ark Royal, HMS Coventry. I was the first person sick on the sea trial of HMS Ark Royal. The miners' strike I talk about. Ken Dodd, Raquel Welch, when her son got married in North Yorkshire, Bolton Abbey. Now there is a story. Lots of things in Teesside, lots of stories around here. The press pack, talk about Cleveland child abuse inquiry, going up in a hot air balloon, not even a hot air balloon, just a balloon, going up in a balloon to do the weatherman because we'd done something wrong and it was a punishment. Holbeck Hall falling into the sea in Scarborough. That's us in the States, and an officer and me having a laugh on, but he wasn't laughing. And the crew that covered the Cleveland child abuse inquiry 30 odd years ago, some of which are still about, some of which are sadly no longer with us. And then Berlin, we did a job in Berlin. We went to, during communism, we were doing a documentary on the White Helmets motorcycle display team. and we ended up in Berlin, and all the little clubs and pubs with 30 mad screaming squaddies who had been let off the leash for the night. It's all in the book, I can't say any more to that. But yeah, we did get to go to East Berlin. We had to go through Checkpoint Charlie. We had to dress up and hide the cameras and show our passports or something like that. So that was an experience in itself, going into communism, East Berlin. And that's where the Colonel Spooner's tie story comes in from. So yeah, I've been very lucky to have travelled and got about a bit, and the book and the art, to me, it's all in one. And I'm coming up to 49, which is nearly 50, and I've achieved my goals and ambitions. I've had an art exhibition with my life's work, and I've written a book, and I'm a happy bunny. I've left something for my grandkids to look at, and I've documented the life of those that bring you the news. And I've also done a bit of art which will hopefully last for many, 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 many generations. And so if you want to buy a piece of art, please check the website out. It's www.cameramanartist.com. That's cameramanartist.com. All my work's up there. I've decided to sell my entire life's collection, and that's it. I want to other people to appreciate it, and I want to explain to people what it means, and I want them to enjoy it. So I've decided to sell the whole lot, and there's 143 pieces here, and there's one at home that will not leave the house, and a few with friends and a few at auction. So if you want a piece of me, if you want to hang something on your wall, or if you're looking for something for Christmas, or if you wanted an investment, then please, all these pieces mean something to me. It's all to do with my life as a cameraman. It's all to do with my book. It's all to do with my art, and life has had its ups and downs, and so have I, and that comes out in my work as well. And that's basically it. I don't suppose anyone will be watching this, and if they are, they'll probably switched off. But it's been good to do. It's been good to actually leave something in place for future generations and my family, and for cameramen and for artists, and leaving my little mark on life and in the world. And I've done it, and I'm very, very proud of my achievements. And now I'm not sure what. I don't know. Whichever way the wind blows. I'm loving working freelance for the Beeb. I loving doing a few corporates. I love shooting videos for bands. I love shooting videos. I love shooting. I love shooting pictures, and I'm always looking for new projects. I'm always looking for new things to do. We've been playing around with 4K, which is the next thing I'd like to do. There's an LG screen out there, 110-inch. We'll have to hire it, but I want to shoot Teesside in 4K, which has never been done before, and I'd like to show that at the MEMA. Alistair, if you're watching, and if you'd like to give me some money for the camera, the kit, and the screen, that would be even better. So yeah, I'm playing around with 4K, and I want to shoot something in 4K, but I will always be in the news industry. It's where my friends are. That's where my family is. My brother's a cameraman, my father's a cameraman, my best friend's a cameraman. All I know is cameramen, reporters, and media people. So I will always be there to shoot news, but obviously I'm looking for anything. I'd like to do maybe a movie. I think maybe a movie. But anyway, I'm bored now. I'm going to start pulling it down. No one's turned up for a painting. I think I must have spoken for a minute. $12:02. Right, I've done my bit. May as well change angles a bit here.